too. This looks so funny. Oh my god. Okay, Ma. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
How do I add you to my little thing? This is the weirdest thing I've ever done in my life. I need to add you. Okay, wait. Manually. There. Oh my god.
What? What the hell?
Okay, so I've never done this before and it's ridiculous and I love it.
It is. I love it though.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to like make my own like little like background studio and like put us in there and like okay.
Yes.
Anyways, hi. How are you? Are you okay? I mean, you don't have to be okay. That's a stupid question. Stupid question.
Uh, is this recorded?
Yeah. I hope you're okay with that. I should have said, "Hey, I recorded this. Are you okay with speaking about things recorded that probably it's if no, I don't have any YouTubers, so people might not watch, but that's okay."
I'm not doing okay, but
Yeah, I know.
I'm here.
You're here and like honestly that's what matters and it's so interesting like I'm so used to saying to people like, "Oh my god, how are you?" And we all just respond with like, "Good, you?" Like we don't one, we're not really honest, and
Yeah,
two, I feel like it doesn't really give people space to be honest, or we just like want people to
yeah,
lie and be like,
definitely.
tell us what we want to hear, but like being more in like mental illness spaces when people are like not okay, right? And people are not okay maybe all the time. I tried to like change it, so I forgot. So something I used to say like people who I knew like living with
Mm-hmm.
mental illness or myself is like, okay, like how are you on a scale from like 0 to 10? Like 0 is
Mm-hmm.
best day of your life. 10 is I need to take you to the emergency room right now. Like where are you? Because then that gave me an idea of like, okay, like do you need immediate
Yeah,
help? Like so if I asked you that scale of 0 to 10, where are you at?
pushing at 8.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so we're up there. We're up there. I get that. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that.
Thank you for asking though.
No,
I
of
appreciate that. Yeah.
because like I do care. Like that's like what I'm not just trying to be like, yay, mental health. Like, like I understand the bullshit, but
Mm,
also I understand mental illness, but I also want to recognize I know you have lived experience on top of that that I can't relate to, that I don't know about, and that's something,
mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, I don't want to like bullshit and pretend that like everything's happy and unicorns.
Yeah,
It's like that's not reality. And I think there's space for that, you know?
I hear you. If you see me looking, it's because where I'm staying, the my friend has a cat. So I fed her because I don't want her to be meowing or aggressive with this. She's never satisfied. She's never satisfied. She's always hungry. Um, but yeah, she's been keeping me company.
Oh, that's nice. Does it like
Yeah.
does having like a little critter around like does it like make you happy or kind of take you out of your own headspace because you're focusing on like something else instead?
Um, apart from her waking me up at like 3 and 4, I guess that's my fault because I've been like able to sleep. So I'll be going to the toilet at 5 and then she'll see me and then think that it's time for feeding. And now I do feed her that time. So now she's associated that time. So that's my fault. I've never looked after a cat, so I didn't realize that. But when she comes around me, she sits next to me, she wants like me to stroke her and then she's okay. That's been helping, yeah, definitely.
Aw, like, yeah, I've never had a cat either, so I don't know how they work either,
No, no,
right?
I
Like,
don't know at all. I've been Googling how to look after a cat.
oh, but I love that she loves you and you guys are
Yeah,
besties and you feed her and take care of her. That's
definitely.
so
Yeah.
nice. Mm. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to like give you space to say what you want to say, do what you want to do. Is there anything you need to want to scream into the abyss that is the internet. Like, it's your time.
Yeah, I guess one thing that I've noticed with like, I don't know if I can, I don't know if this is just, I don't know what to word this, but I've realized that, now asking for help online, which I've done before, but not on Instagram. I've always kept my Instagram positive with like my fact acceptance, and I don't want to call it positivity, body acceptance, fact acceptance. That I've never really, like, maybe once or twice I've shared my mental health struggles, but I've noticed that like in sharing them, like in 2020 when some of my posts were going around, I didn't have to ask anyone to share my stuff. They were just without my consent, which is fine sometimes. They would just post it and mention me in their stories, and I had a lot of blue ticks following me. And I guess now that like I'm more open with my mental health because it's affecting me more, I don't really see that kind of support. And I just feel like I'm more than my content and what I put out there. And I feel like I see a lot of, I don't know if I can say this, but Black, fat content creators, um, a lot of people, they take from us and they don't, they're happy to take and feed themselves with our content and our positivity, but they don't pour into us. And that can be very tiring. Like I've been doing this since 2013.
Wow.
On a smaller scale before, it was a bit more conservative. Is that the word conservative? Because I was a Christian. Now I'm not. So I'm more naked on the internet and showing my little bum bum and my little boobies. But before, yes, I've noticed that. And I feel like that's okay. This is gonna go on into my tangent a bit. So just give me space. Yeah, so I've noticed that it's quite sad because we're more than what we put out there. And I feel like not that my content's now negative, but it's showing the real sides that I struggle with. And some of like, you know, my issues have caused depression in the past. So it ties in together as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Ugh. And the really, really sad thing is that I know that this experience is not unique in the sense of,
Yeah,
I know a lot of especially like fat Black women that have said like, okay, the thin white women or even fat white women come in, they take what they want, they,
yeah.
comment a yes girl, yes queen under the comments, and
Oh,
then they disappear like
yeah,
like they did their work for the day. Now they can go back to their life. And
yeah.
I've heard that, and I'm so, first of all, sorry. And
Mhm,
what can we do? Okay, I don't want to like make you do emotional labor. So I need to like hold up for a second.
mhm,
I'm like, how can we do that? Cause I'm like, oh, I remember 2020 when I got mad at like the thin white women, and
yeah,
it was literally the most exhausting time of my life.
yeah,
And they pretended to care for a minute, and then now I
yeah,
see it, like, everyone goes back to their thing, even talking about just
yeah,
fat phobia in general.
yeah.
They've all just gone back to showing their tiny little tummy roll and their cellulite, and they're like, "Body positivity!" And I just like, do we, like, bang our heads against a wall trying to make people listen, trying to make people behave differently? Do
Mhm.
we let them go? Like, what do you think? What do you think?
Can I be honest? Even
Yeah.
with like issues with racism, I guess because they don't experience it, I guess it's hard to care and it's hard to even the people that say they're allies, it's hard for them. I don't know if the word is care, but to understand
Mm,
because they've never had to experience racism or um, you know, to yeah, and even fat phobia and stuff. I'm sorry, but it's a lot easier for fat white women than it is for, because we have our blackness and we have our fatness, um, that you add to the, situation, to the conversation. So I guess you have to do more than reposting, adding to your stories. There has to be more, like, there has to be more outrage. Like, if we're saying woman empowerment, we have to, and fat phobia and body positivity, body positivity, we have to highlight and amplify the voices of the most marginalized groups. Like, that's it, really. And it's not just a one day thing, it's constant. It is a constant thing that you have to do. And even though the situation with my situation, I went on a rant because I was so angry, because I had to ask in people's inboxes and I was ignored. And it's like, but you take from my content, and then, like I said before, it's weird because you post, even some of the conversations I went to, I saw at the top mentioned you in their stories in 2020 when my post and when I was acting more positive, and it was like, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you have
Yeah.
to, I don't know, fix my problems, but like, if you really care about a person, it's not just one aspect of them that you care about. Because if I'm, yeah, that's, yeah,
No, I'm really hearing you, and um it's
yeah,
such an important conversation. I think when even like for any content creator, any activists online, like we think that perhaps like people with different amounts of privilege, right? Like we all have different
yeah,
whatever degrees of privilege. Like so for me, I could be like, oh, being fat, I am the most depressed person in the world. Let me talk about fat phobia. And it's my job to like take a fucking step back and be like, yeah, fat phobia sucks. Mental illness sucks. Those are my issues. And I do not experience racism on top of it. I do not experience like physical ableism on top of it, right? I do not experience like xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia on top of it. And that's like, I still obviously need to do that work. I'm being like, okay, yes, like I want to speak up about fat phobia, but maybe it's not my voice that needs to be centered right now. And I know that I've fucked up on that point. I know that I went into Instagram really wanting to focus on more marginalized people, right? Not like
yeah,
not even myself, but yeah, like Black women, disabled women, or non-binary people, just whatever, as you said, centering the more marginalized. And I think I've gotten into my head, which is my fault, and I can't blame anyone else except for myself, thinking about
mm,
myself, my content, how do I look, what am I doing? And this is like such a good reminder that I need to back the fuck up, and everyone else needs to back the fuck up. All the white women, and I know exactly what you mean. They're, more palatable, right? It's like, yes, we're fat, but that's not it. Like we can't pretend that we're the only ones who need a voice. Like, so
yeah,
I
because
apologize. I'm
yeah,
no, I'm like deeply sorry, and I want to do better because I so care
mhm.
about you, about people living in more marginalized bodies, and I gotta do the work and try to figure out a way to make the other white people fucking listen so that it's not all on
Yeah,
you.
I guess. I was gonna say, like when uh the BLM squares were happening, that
Mhm.
I guess people did that. I don't know if I could say this, but they kind of were forced to do it because if they weren't, it was seen as like you're compliant. Like, what's the word? Is it like
You're
compliant or
complacent.
complacent? That's
Yeah,
yeah. And
totally.
I felt like they were forced to do it. To be honest, if they did it, even brands, it would look like, okay, well, it's June, I can't remember what day, the first, for example, and all the black people are, putting out black squares and, talking about BLM and George Floyd and every black person that was killed by the hands of police, and you're not doing it. You'll be called out, right? But then
Totally.
what happened? Like, I don't want to say we need to force them, because after that, what are they doing? What are they going to do? Are they going to keep it up? Are they only doing it because they're being forced? Like, they have to care, because we share an identity, which is being fat.
Mhm.
And I just feel like I'm sick and tired of going on social media and seeing people that say that they're doing the work, but they're not. They're obviously promoting clothes and brands is important, because we need to see what our bodies are gonna look like in clothes. But it's like there's more to it. There's more to the work than that, because the brands that you're pushing out, I know, people that are size 32 can't even fit in them. So are we really inclusive? Are we really talking about the right issues?
Yeah.
It used to get me mad, because I showed my story. So the reason why in 2013 I'm not even an influencer, but I started my journey on Instagram was because I was bullied and by so many different people. And I was always like one of the biggest in my friend groups. Um, and the only time I would have rest was in my immediate family, because we were all big. My mom was a size 32. My brother was like 400 pounds. My sister was same size as me. And every time I would step out the door, I would have to face discrimination, fat phobia, and it was tiring. And I hated myself so much because of the way people and society viewed me. Like, they made me feel like my body was repulsive and ugly, that I could never get anywhere in life because of my size,
Mhm.
or they were just horrible. And I just got to the point where I was tired of like feeling that way. So that one day I said, you know what? I want to find people who look like me. So I joined Instagram, and I saw people who looked like me, but they were hourglass, they were white, they were light skin, um, they had brand deals, and I was a
Mhm.
broke university student that was wearing clothes from even 8 years ago, to be honest, that I had to recycle. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna buy my clothes, and I got sucked into buying. At that time was Forever 21, and what else was there? H&M. No, I'm lying, because I could never fit in H.
Yeah,
It was
like
one
people talk
those
about
kind of brands.
H&M. I'm like, I've never, last time I was in
When
H&M
I
was
was
like
younger,
high
I did, yeah.
school.
The leggings. Oh, the leggings were so good back in the day. Like, they had patterns. Oh, but now I couldn't fit in them. But like, I can't remember, like, Boohoo. Yeah, Boohoo and those kind of brands. And that's all I could afford. But I was seeing people in America with Torrid, and they had more access, basically.
Yeah.
And I was starting to feel like shit. I was like, I can't afford these things. But I felt like in order to be confident, I had to dress nice, and I had to slay my hair, everything. And that was unhealthy, because I was breaking the bank to do that. So then I said, you know what? Fuck that shit. I'm sorry for swearing.
No, go for it. I don't give a
Okay,
shit. We're
then I was
good.
like, fuck that shit. I need to be able to love myself naked. And that's when my message changed. And then people started following me and stuff like that. And, I just feel like, I don't know, even I sometimes can be taking up space, because I'm seen as I am a small fat,
Mm.
even though I'm visibly fat and whatever. And then a few years later, my message started to change again. That, like, yes, you can love yourself, but loving yourself doesn't, it helps, but it's hard. If you don't love
Mhm.
yourself, that's not a personal failure.
Mhm.
It's
Right?
society. Yeah.
Such a
It's not a
good
personal failure.
point. Everyone's saying like, "Oh, just love yourself, just love yourself." It's like, yeah, loving myself isn't gonna make those clothes fit me. Loving myself isn't
No,
gonna make a doctor respect me. Loving
no,
myself isn't gonna A, B, and C, just as you
exactly.
said. And like, I I feel like we've forgotten all of that. I feel like we had those
Yeah.
conversations like 2020. Now it's just like people are
Yeah.
back on the game, like just love yourself, love your body. And it's like this is like a radical thing. It's not just learning to accept, you know,
Mhm.
your size 8 body, but it's like, okay, how can we exist in a world? How can we
Mhm.
take care of our bodies that we've been taught to
Yeah,
hate our entire
exactly.
lives, that the world still tells us to hate,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, so I have a question. So was your family a safe space? Like my family was also like plus size, fat, kind of, but there was so much body shame in my family. Like there
Mhm.
was like it was so like even though we were all bigger, it was like the number one goal in life is to be thin. So like if your family members were bigger also, did it feel more normal in your family?
When I say my immediate family, I'm talking about like my brother, my sister, and my mom. My sister, she was smaller growing up, and she got fat because she had children. So she would take things at my weight a lot. I remember one time I put on some jeans and they fit like up into my thigh. She's like, oh, they're gonna fit me, and it got to her knees and it couldn't fit, and I was laughed not because I was shaming her, but because it's like you're fat too, honey. Like just because you're a bit smaller than me doesn't mean it's gonna fit. So she would shame me. But my mom never shamed me. She was the one who gave me that. Like people would stare at her because she was thick. She's size 32. She was short. She was like 5'4", so you could tell
Yeah.
she was a very large woman. And people would stare at her. She goes, in a Jamaican accent, she goes, "Don't look at me." Well, basically, she said, "Don't look at me," or "Why you look at me? Am I wearing your panties?" So got that kind of I got that from her. Like when people stare at
Oh.
me, even when I wasn't confident, I'd be like, "Why are you staring at me? Like, am I wearing your clothes? Like, is it bother? Why is it bothering you?" Kind of thing. So I got that from her, like her little confidence. I don't even know if it was confidence. It was more so, this is my body, and
Mhm.
it is the way it is, and you don't need to feel a type of way about it because it's not your body. You don't have to have an opinion on it. So I grew up when I was growing up. I would see that. I would see her like I don't know. She would wear her dresses and her little, she didn't care. Like she never once showed me that she struggled with her weight. She would eat her
Oh.
Jamaican food, her oxtail. She would eat her rice and peas, and she never gave a fuck. So I saw that growing up. Well, my extended family, oh my god, they wouldn't let me rest.
Mhm.
As young as 8, I had an uncle who was big himself that he would bully me. But yeah,
Mm. Well, I mean,
people are shit.
I love that you had, or at least
Yeah,
you saw that in your mom, right? You
yeah,
saw like yeah, like a fat woman be like unapologetically
yes,
herself
unapologetically.
in
That's
her
it. Yeah.
body. And I don't want to take away any like any childhood traumas or any like, you know,
Hmm.
shit that happened in your life too, because I don't know any of that. And just because maybe she was good in that way, I don't want to make assumptions, but at least
Yeah,
that's one area where you had
yeah,
something,
that was positive.
right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow. So, what do
Hmm.
we do now? Like, do you want like would you want to be an influencer or a creator? I mean, like you are obviously, but like would you is that something you are interested in growing, or is it just the like you like doing your own thing, you don't want the pressure from other people, but
Hmm.
don't people better not be coming in and coming out just for fun, just to say they did it, just to check something off their list? Like if you're going to be here, or how do you feel about being on social media?
Um, I feel like a part of me wants to be a, I don't know, influencer, but like a bigger creator, so that my message can get across to a lot more people. But the way the algorithm is moving, I don't know if that's even possible. And on the other hand, I like not having the pressure of having to go to central London, the posh part of London, or Shoreditch. I don't know if you know these places, but like Shoreditch is like East London. It's very quirky, gentrified. So you know where I'm coming from with that, where you stand up and take a picture, and I don't have the capacity to get dressed and go all the way an hour. That all the influencers do, and they can't look like. shit one day. I want to come up with no bra, with this on my head, and have a message. So I don't know if that's possible if I was an influencer, because I feel like you have to be perfect, and I'm far from perfect, and I'll let you know that. But I do feel like I want my message to reach. I feel like it's weird because I never used to go on camera, and I would never before maybe 2020. I would never have an interview. I would never speak on camera. I hated it. I hated voice recordings. But now that I'm more confident with it, I don't want to shut up. I want to make sure that before I leave this earth, that I inspire someone to love themselves and to take care of their mental health and to advocate for themselves and to talk about their trauma. All these things are me, my trauma, being like second gen immigrant, immigrant, and all these things, and having dyslexia. I want to talk about all these things. I've gone through all these things for no reason. But I just feel like you have to be airbrushed and polished, and I don't think I can be.
I can't either, though. That's the thing is like,
I'm a
and
mess. I'm a beautiful mess.
and I love that, and I think that's what we need more of. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
imagine if we saw people, if we saw influencers not doing their hair and makeup, talking about their mental illness, then we could be like, oh, I could do that too. I could show
Yeah,
up that way
exactly.
too. And maybe we need to be that change. And it's scary if we're
Yeah.
like,
The first.
maybe the first, right? Other people,
Yeah.
yeah, you look on Instagram, it's all the perfect people. And so
Yeah.
to show up and be like, okay, I am gonna show up with my hair like this, and I'm not even wearing a shirt. I'm just wearing like a bralette. Like, do you know what
Hmm.
I mean? Like, if to show up
Yeah.
and just like be us and hope that people don't hate us, or even not even not
Mm.
hoping, but just like, okay, whoever comes for me and my message, and how
Yeah.
can I stay true in that and not get in my head about, oh, I need to look this way, I need to do these
Yeah.
things. And like, as you were saying before, like, you felt the pressure to like, wear the nice clothes or do your hair and makeup and look a certain way. And I've
Hmm.
heard that that's, I mean, I've heard other fat people saying that too, but my personal like experience of that is like, my whole life I was like, gotta change my body, gotta change my body, body's horrible. Okay, then we go to, okay, can I accept my body? Then I was like trying to convince myself, like, okay, maybe I could accept my fat body if I look good, right? So if
Yeah,
my hair's
exactly.
on point, my makeup,
Hmm.
I dress nice, I'm beautiful, then maybe I can accept this. Then
Yeah.
maybe it's gonna be okay. It's like I need to make up for the fatness,
Yes, make up for the fatness.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, I hate wearing makeup. I don't do my hair, so I'm like, fuck, that didn't work. Uh,
Mm.
so it's like,
Yeah.
what do I have going for me then? If I'm just, yeah, I'm not polished. I'm not compensating for the fatness in some way or another.
Mhm.
I think that's where it gets messy to me. It's like, yeah, how do we show up in these spaces? How do we take up
Yeah. How do you
space?
take up space? Yeah. When you don't look like, because there's a beauty standard within the straight size, I don't know what you call them, community. And then in the plus size fat community, there's a standard, and then that's hourglass and whatever. And then within the people that are not hourglass, there's a standard as well. It's like, what the fuck? How do we like navigate that? Like, when if you're apple shape or you don't have a shape, or I don't know, you're dark
Right?
skin or
Exactly. Especially, it's like the
don't
people
have the
that aren't,
features.
yeah, like the dark skinned people.
Or don't have
Um,
the Eurocentric features and the Eurocentric body type, and you're all the way over there, like, and miles away from the beauty standard, and it's like you're not seeing. And when you are seeing, it's because they want to compare you to Precious and Rasputia, and they want to if you're in a relationship, they want to make fun of you. Oh, it's tax season, or and it's just like, seriously, shut the fuck up, because what does I'm never gonna go into it, but yeah, I'm never gonna throw shade. I want to, but I'm not.
our meeting's gonna end in 10 minutes. That's okay. We have 10 minutes left of more
Okay.
loveliness. Also,
Mm-hmm,
I just love you so much. And I love hearing from you. And your voice is so needed. Like, honestly,
mm-hmm.
like I talk too much and I need to back the fuck up. And as like, I know I want you to take care of your mental health first and foremost, before we worry about, posting you or doing this, like, you matter more than anything
Yeah,
else,
yeah,
right? And I also like, if you want to speak and if you want to get your voice heard, I wanna do everything I can to, like, make that happen, and we can hopefully find, even more people who are, like, not getting their voice heard, who have
yeah.
a message, who have something to say, who need to be fucking listened to,
Mm.
and give them that platform because Instagram's not gonna hand anyone a platform. No one has a
No,
right? It's when we know that. I
no.
know I'm preaching to the choir. It's the thin white women that
Yeah,
only get heard. Everyone else is
yeah,
trying to get something, and then, being white, I have more privilege and I get heard and blah. So I don't know how to rig the system. I don't know how to
mm,
fix things, but I guess all we can do is what we have control over, which is the
mm,
platforms we do have, the people
yeah,
we do know, the reach we can manage. You and I can
mm,
speak out, and if
yeah,
someone
definitely.
hears it and it helps them, like, wow, then that like, I try to remind myself, like, yeah, if one person is like, "Whoa, I look like them," or "My stomach looks like hers," right? I'm not an hourglass either, or, "Okay, I can tell my doctor I don't wanna be weighed," or, just different things of
Yeah,
people
those things,
respecting
yeah.
themselves. I'm like, "Whoa, then that's worth it," and, I
To
don't
save
need,
a
like, a
life.
million followers and
Yeah, these things that like thin people, I'm joking, take for granted, like going to the doctors and being heard and not like I've been to the doctors before and I've gone for one issue and they've completely ignored it and put me on Weight Watchers and it was just like I was too young and didn't have the vocabulary, but I was just like I left there feeling like shit because it's like I didn't come here for that.
Mhm.
So, you know, if I can share my experiences, it could probably save a life. I've heard so many times that a fat person has gone to the doctors to they have a problem, whatever, and they was dismissed and ended up dying. And that's like, what the fuck? Like, why is these things happening? And that's what motivates me sometimes to get out of bed to advocate for fat women, non-binary femmes, um, who don't have a voice or are too shy or whatever reason why they're not able to be be themselves or advocate for themselves or whatever, is to give them my voice. Because I remember when I was younger and people were bullying me, and I was just like, it was like them against me, and I just didn't have anyone. I didn't have anyone to look up to at all. So it just, not having being in that situation where you're being bullied for your weight and not having anyone that looks like you or that you can look up to, it's dangerous because then that I don't want to go off on a tangent, but eating disorders and all kinds of things happen, and we just have to be better to fat people. Like we just have to do better because like it's unfair and it's not needed.
No, and I think you're so right, and it's like it's more than just fashion. It's more than just loving yourself. It's more than
Yeah,
just the beauty standards we see on Instagram. It's so much more. It's our lives. It's like mental illness. It's all of it's all
yeah,
of that. So how can I support you? How can we support you? I guess I can link your GoFundMe and your PayPal. I don't know what other money systems you have over there.
cash
Because like in
app.
America, they have a bunch of money systems that we don't have in Canada. So I
Oh,
never
okay.
know, you know?
I have Cash App.
Oh yeah, we don't have that shit.
I have Cash App, I have PayPal, and GoFundMe. Um, yeah, I don't want to take a break, but I just felt like the response I was getting, I was salty. And I was like, well, I'm no longer going to inspire you then. But then again, I also know that there's a need for my voice. Ew.
Mhm.
I'm joking. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
need for definitely. I've got a lot to say.
Yes, and you need to be heard, right? Like you deserve to be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
Okay, I love you. I wanna stop before before this thing, like,
Yeah,
shuts
that
off
would be
on us, because
annoying.
then I'll be mad that it cut us off, but,
Yes.
um, how do I stop this recording? Wait, let me see if I can stop it.